People used to say the same thing about me. Hannah is too emotional. Hannah cries too much. Hannah takes things too personally. They said it at work. They said it in relationships. Even people I trusted said it. For a long time, I believed them. But what they didn't know was this. The same woman they called too emotional would become the woman no one could break. This is my story. My name is Hannah Carter, and I've always been the kind of person who feels things deeply. When someone is hurting, I notice. When someone is struggling, I care. When something is unfair, it stays in my heart. But the world doesn't always reward people like that. It labels them. At my first real job, my manager once said something in front of everyone during a meeting. He laughed and said, "Careful what you say around Hannah. She might cry again." Everyone laughed. I laughed too. But inside, something in me cracked. Because the truth was, I had cried in the bathroom the day before. Not because I was weak, but because I was working harder than anyone there and still being treated like I didn't belong. The silent pain nobody saw. Every day I woke up with a knot in my stomach. I'd sit in my car outside the office building for 10 minutes, trying to convince myself to walk inside. Sometimes I would whisper to myself, "Just survive today. Not succeed, not thrive, just survive." People saw a smiling woman at work, but they never saw the bathroom mirror where I wiped my tears and told myself, "Don't cry again today." Because crying made them respect me less. Or at least, that's what I thought. The moment that changed my life happened on a random Tuesday afternoon. My manager called me into his office. He closed the door and said something that felt like a knife. "Hannah, you're talented, but you're too emotional for leadership." Too emotional. That sentence followed me home. It echoed in my mind while I was cooking dinner, while I was trying to sleep, while I stared at the ceiling at 2 a.m. Too emotional. Too emotional. Too emotional. And that night I realized something. It wasn't the world breaking me. It was my need for their approval. The next morning I didn't wake up angry. I woke up quiet. And quiet can be dangerous. Because quiet means something inside you has decided. Enough. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped defending my feelings. I stopped trying to convince people to respect me. Instead, I made a private decision. I would work on myself in silence. Not for revenge, not for validation, but for freedom. The first change was small. I stopped reacting to everything. When people made jokes, I smiled politely. When people dismissed my ideas, I wrote them down anyway. When people underestimated me, I let them. Because I had realized something powerful. People who underestimate you are giving you cover. They stop watching. And when they stop watching, you can grow. So I studied. I learned new skills after work. I took online courses at night. While people were sleeping, I was rebuilding my life. Not loudly, quietly. Something strange began happening. The quieter I became, the stronger I felt. Because silence protects your energy. It protects your plans. And most importantly, it protects your peace. People started noticing something had changed. Not because I told them, but because I stopped trying to prove myself. About a year later, our company opened a new department. And suddenly, the same manager who once said I was too emotional called me into his office again. But this time, his voice sounded different. He said, "Hannah, we've noticed the results you've been producing. We want you to lead the new team." I looked at him quietly, because I remembered the old conversation. Too emotional for leadership. But instead of bringing it up, I simply said, "Thank you. I accept." Here's the truth people rarely talk about. Becoming strong doesn't mean you stop feeling. I still feel deeply. I still care. I still cry sometimes. But now I understand something I didn't before. Your emotions are not weakness, they are information. They tell you what matters. They tell you when something is wrong. They tell you when you deserve better. The difference now is this. I don't let people weaponize my feelings anymore. And when you stop giving people the power to define you, you become something they can't control. You become untouchable. So if you're watching this right now, and people call you too emotional, too sensitive, too soft, listen to me carefully. The world doesn't need fewer people who feel deeply. It needs more people who turn those feelings into strength. Your emotions are not the problem. The problem is people who never learned how to respect them. One day, the same people who dismissed you will look at your life and wonder, when did they become so strong? And the answer will be simple. You didn't become strong overnight. You became strong the moment you decided. Your worth would no longer depend on their opinion. And that is the day you become untouchable.